What's going on, guys? Hey, Paul's here with an update to the grab object tutorial that I had done a while back with some of the new stuff we can do now using the physics handle. So if I demo what we got here real quick, you can see that I can grab an object, it comes pulling towards me, and it is now actually hitting the world. So I can move it around, but if it hits the world, it stumps. If I pin it against something, I can't push through it. It behaves as it should for the most part, and I can also, you know, still like throw it away if I want to, and things like that. Now, this version that I have is brand new, so I only included this functionality that you see here. I don't have the ability to grab and rotate and move it towards and away from us and things like that. I just want, you can use the old tutorial for that. Just you need to adopt this new setup basically. So let me show you how it's done. It's all right here. We got some stuff for speeds because there's something kind of gross about this thing. If you do it right out the box, when you grab something, it actually comes at you like so fast that it just totally flings away, and it won't even, I'm actually holding it, it's behind me. So it really spazzes out when you don't adjust the interpolation speed. It's basically how fast it's pulling things in, I guess. So what I do is I essentially actually run a distance check. I keep the interpolation speed low at 1, and that's what causes the object to drift towards me fairly slowly here. As you can see, it's being pulled slowly, and then once it gets to me, it's now actually on me completely. See how it's keeping up with me, and it's 1 for 1. Before I let it get to me, I can actually kind of outrun it, you know? See, I'm actually able to get away from it a little bit. But once I stop or move towards it, now I'm never going to get anywhere away from it. So it's doing kind of a distance check. This, I don't really like this, but it's okay for now. It kind of makes sense. So just so you know, I'm actually changing that interpolation speed, which is just a setting on the physics handle. So first let's show how to make the physics handle. That is in the components. You can just type PHY, and you'll see it right here. There's constraint, handle, and thruster. We're looking for handle. That gives you this here. It's a component, physics handle component. This isn't something that can be, this is not a scene component, so it's like more of a code thing, okay? So it's like the character movement, okay? It's not an object, all right? It's a piece of code, basically. What you can do, but you can, when you drag it out here, I held control there if you don't hold anything. Well, actually, you know what? You can't do any kind of set, so you don't need to hold anything. You can come here, and there's a few things that you can set. Angular damping, stiffness, interpolation speed being the main one, which is how I grab this here, okay? Linear damping, stiffness, target location, and rotation, target rotation. Okay, I'll show you this. We need to use this in kind of a similar way that we did the old one, but because there's something kind of stupid about this thing. So because because it's not a physical object, it can't be affected in that way. So I'll show you what we're having to do. We're actually, it's the main reason that we're on tick. Since we're already on tick, I figure we might as well do this, make it smoother. So one of the things that you'll notice that won't come up when you try to do anything with this is anything under attach. You can't attach this to anything. So I actually still have a phys handle position here, which I don't remember what I named it in the old video, but this is what I'm naming it now. It's just the position that I want it, right? It's this thing here. It's actually linked to the camera so that if the camera pitches, it moves up, okay? And it is set to hidden in game, and it's not doing anything. So all I'm doing is, because I cannot attach this to the handle position, I have to basically do this special function of set target location and rotation. So what I'm doing is I'm saying get phys handle position. So this object here in the viewport, this guy, I'm getting its world position constantly, and I'm setting the variable inside of here. However this thing sets this up is somewhere inside of here, right? There's magic matrix code going on in there that we don't know anything about. And then for rotation, I just set control rotation. In fact, because this is on like a physics axis, this doesn't actually do anything. So I don't think it matters if you uncheck that, but I keep it on there anyway. Then okay, so this is what we have to do instead of attach, okay? So what I'm doing, when I first hit the button, I'm just using G because this is a newer template, so the mouse button is actually being used for shooting the gun now. right here. Input action fire is actually mouse 1, so I'm not going to use that key. So when we press it, we're going to do basically the same thing. We need to check for line trace, and this time I kind of genericized it a little bit by just making this just look for physics body only. The way I created this right here was on the object types. That when you create the line trace, this actually comes for objects. This isn't my channel, this is for objects. It gives you a thing here. All you got to do is come here and say make array, and it actually gives you a list of all the different objects that you have in the world, and if you want to be able to hit more than one of them, you can add more. So you can just say, okay, I want it to hit statics, dynamics, and vehicles. That's the only thing I care to trace against. We'll use that. But in this case, the only thing I care to trace against right now are physics bodies. Okay, so like projectiles and other things like that, it's not going to have any effect. You can change, like I said, you can change this. You can add new channels for yourself or object types or whatever, and do whatever you want. But in this case, you know, this is fine. And if we don't hit anything, if this return value, if it comes out false, we don't care to go any further, right? If we do, we want to know some information, so we break our hit result. Do this by dragging off the out hit here, break hit result. Okay, and that'll give you this guy here. And again, this is line trace for objects, not by channel. Okay, line trace by channel does not give you the object types. All it gives you is visibility or camera. That's all you get. So this is more global. This will take just about anything in the game, because most things in the game block visibility and or camera. Okay, but in this case we want to filter them out. So we don't want to say, oh, you know, for every object we hit, hey, does it you know, does it simulate physics? We want to ask it a bunch of shit. No, we don't care about that. We'll just go straight for the type. Okay, and then so if we did hit something, we set hit actor to a variable. So what I did was I just promoted this to a variable and called it hit actor, and it's just a variable type actor, created that automatically when I dragged off and hit promote variable. Okay, we move along and we say grab component. Now this is the new stuff, right? This is the new thing that they gave us. Now I can't explain what it's doing. It just use it. Just grab off of the physics handle and say what is it called? Grab or whatever. Yeah, grab component. Okay, so what we do is we say, okay, well, what component did we hit, right? So we grab that component, and then where do we want to grab it from? Well, let's hit it right where we impacted the actual contact point of the trace shape with the surface of the hit object. So right where we point at it will be the anchor point. So what should happen, given that we're using this right here, grab location, we should be able to come here and pick it up off the bottom. See how it's hanging from that bottom corner where I grabbed it? All right, let's pick the upper right corner right here, and I'll grab it, and now it's still swinging from that corner. Okay, it kind of seems to be a little it seems to be able to get a little weird maybe sometimes, like a little off. See how it's like almost most of the time here I'm not actually pointing directly at the box. It kind of hangs below the box. That is actually okay, because remember it's hanging to physics, right? There is an option when you grab to constrain rotation. So when I compile this, and you'll see a very different behavior now. See? Okay, now it hasn't gotten to me, so it hasn't hit the interpolation. But now, this would be more like how you would want to be able to go around and let people stack things, right? And then this would be where you could probably add some rotational control. But what I don't know, I'll be perfectly honest, is whether or not doing this is always going to constantly overwrite what the rotation of the object is, and you won't be able to do anything. So maybe you don't want to do this and you want to write more custom rotational controls the way I had in the original, or something new that you've created. But in this case, like I said, I'm just turning this off and on whether or not I care to let it free dangle, or whether or not I want it to be stiff so that I can do something else with it. And then after that, remember, because everything succeeded, right? We did hit an object that we can grab, so we now, you know, in setup phase, we do this special event, right, that they've given us. This would actually matter if you hit against a character. You could actually say, hey, I want to grab him by his hand, and that's freaking awesome. So you can use this if you're grabbing characters or ragdolls. And then what we do is we set the actor tick enabled immediately, because tick is not enabled by default, I don't think. And in fact, if it is, I want to go ahead and remedy that real quick, just in case I forgot to do that. Somewhere on here should be tick enabled or something. I'm not going to mess with it. So let's so I've turned tick off in the beginning, because remember, after a success I turn it back on, and then we ignore this because we're still holding the button, right? So I don't care about what I'm doing on release yet. Now's the tick. So tick is now active, so it's going to start doing this. It's going to start placing the handle in the same position as my billboard locator. Okay, that's the first thing it does. Then I don't care to go any further if there's no hit actor. So if that actor doesn't exist anymore, just go ahead and don't do anything. And then what we'll do is we will get a distance. Then this, I don't really like doing this, but you know, whatever. From the hit actor to myself. So if it's within this distance, then, and basically what we do is if the interp speed, which got set to 1 in the very beginning, didn't it? Well, the variable didn't, but the variable defaults to 1. Okay, interp speed here defaults to 1. So if it's equal to 50 already, I don't care, because remember, this is while I'm holding it, so I'm checking the distance. If I get close enough, I want you to speed up the interp speed so I have a firm grip on the object. I don't want to keep it, I don't want to keep being able to walk away from it. I don't want it to zip to me so freaking fast that it shoots past me or kills me or looks really stupid. So I want it to drift to me slowly. And again, 2 might be too slow for you. You can try 4 in the beginning as your starting point. But again, you want to set that here on release. And I know I haven't shown this yet, but on release is right here. So one of the things I do is reset the interp speed. So for the next time I grab something, it pulls it to me slowly and doesn't zip it to me really, really fast. Okay. So what we do is once it gets close enough, we crank the speed up and we do a simple interp 2, right? So I take interp speed, the target is 50, the interp speed is 4, so it's not too fast but not too slow. I get delta world seconds. I could have fed it that from here, but I don't like the big drifting green. I don't want the big line, so I just get delta world seconds. That's just a function. Get delta world seconds is right here. Okay, you can do it from anywhere just about. And we'll feed that in to delta time, and then we set interp speed, and we got to make sure that we actually set that interpolation on the physics handle while we're doing it, right? So this is going to keep running over and over and over and over and over again as long as I'm holding down the button. So this is going to go every frame. So this will always update the position here constantly, constantly, constantly. It's always going to keep checking. Okay, it's always going to check that the distance is correct. This is going to start hitting false very soon. Okay. Oh, well, actually, no, wait. No, when it's false, I don't want the interp speed to change. So at this, what's happening here, because remember, interp speed is 1. So when I come in here, I grab something that's 1500 away. That's not less than 350, so I'm false. So I don't change the interp speed. The interp speed is still 1. But remember, because I have already grabbed the component, which is a one-time event, it is now in the act of dragging it towards me due to this, okay, whatever the magic is that's going on there. So I can wait until this distance is close enough, okay, which would be true, and then this check here is just to make sure that I don't need to keep doing this interp crap and resetting this over and over and over again if I'm already at the correct, if I've already set the interp speed to 50. And if you want to know where I got 50, that is actually the default interpolation speed value is right here. Okay, I've tried changing these things and these have absolutely no effect. This right here, set angular damping right here, this has absolutely no effect. I've tried 0.1, I've tried 1, I've tried 100, I've tried 1000, and I'm going to keep going. I've tried 10, 100, a million. I've tried it all. Nothing changed, and by the damping is what I was expecting, was that I would not be able to do shit like this once it gets to me, where I can get it going real fast, you know, and get it all drifty, or do something like this. You see what I'm saying? It's just too fast and I don't like it. It's too, like, being able to do this to a huge crate is ridiculous, you know, and I want to slow it down. And this is one of the bugs that I don't know how to fix. If somebody figures it out later on down the line, or perhaps these settings here will actually start having an effect, because I mean, just hold this down. It does nothing. You know, I don't want to break my computer, but it does nothing. I've tried all this, so it doesn't make a difference. Everything's the same. Compile, save, play. G, once it gets to me, it's just as loopy and loose. So those settings appear not to work. So for now, we're stuck with that. If you want to use it, we have no choice. And I don't really like it being all dangly like that, but whatever. So there is the tick is literally just the only thing that is necessary in the tick is this: setting the physics handle's position to be the position where you want it to be through this special function. Okay. So that's the only thing that we actually need. Everything else is me softening the blow of the fact that it's pulling an object. Okay, let's take a look real quick on when we do release of the key. Physics handle has another magic function here called release component. As soon as you let go, as soon as you call this, it just lets the object go. Okay. Then what I want to do is immediately return interp speed to 1, so I pull the next one slowly. I want to make sure I set that, and then I turn off tick. Okay, and this is important, that tick only be running while we're holding down this button for this particular case. Now, this is dangerous, don't get me wrong, because if anything else, any other kind of ability or anything else in your game requires tick, and requires tick not to be running at certain times, and this turns it on, you could get into some dangers. So I'm only using the enable and disable of the tick right now because of the convenient fact that this is the only thing I'm doing. Okay, as soon as you start adding stuff, you may want to come up with another idea for how you're gonna determine this drift, you know, or setting this right here. I mean, tick may, you know, instead of, you know, because maybe you need tick running all the time, and if you do, then in this case I would just put a branch here. So I would simply come here and I would give your you know, the simple is holding something, or is grabbing, right? So, you know, when you press, it's true. When you release, it's false, right? I don't know where those go, so we'll just stick that in there. Okay, so if tick needs to constantly run, you do one of these kinds of things, and then you just basically, once we go down this path for the grabbing stuff, right? Because if tick needs to be running for something, it's for something else, right? So you'd probably have a sequence here. Sequence. And this would probably be, you know, near the end of the sequence. So you'd say, you know, do my other thing. Right? Whatever that is. Okay. So if, but before you do this, before you come here, you want to branch from here. So only if we are grabbing do we take this any further. This is how it should look. Again, this I'm holding this open for whatever reason you need to keep tick running. So, and then you wouldn't do any of this. You wouldn't do any of this. You may need to speed tick up and slow it down. I mean, you can do that, but so I'm just going straight to, because I don't need this stuff. Okay, I really don't. It doesn't matter if I do this. It's not gonna hurt anything. In fact, it didn't even matter if I put the branch here, because it wouldn't go through if this was, as soon as I let go, tick gets turned off anyway, so it wouldn't make a difference. But that's it. And again, on begin play, I just set the interpolation speed to 1, which I should actually do to the default interp speed, so that gets set correctly. When that way, now I can set it to 2 if I want to in the beginning, or whatever. So anyways, that's it. Hopefully you guys can go from here. Like I said, it is a little weird with the fizz handle because of the fact that you have to do this. But other than that, there's nothing. It's just, you just grab it and you tell it to grab component or release component. And then setting the interpolation speed seems to work. Like I said, the other stuff, linear damping and stiffness and angular damping and stiffness, they don't seem to work. So anyways, this is HipPaws signing off. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.